So have you ever wondered how people get into those fancy airport lounges before their flights, whilst you're struggling to find a seat at your departure gates? If you think that airport lounges are reserved only for those flying in business class and first class, then you couldn't be further from the truth. Think of this video as your complete guide to airport lounges. We'll be covering the various lounge types, lounge membership programs, including those that you can score for free through select credit cards, lounges that are worth visiting, and ones that you might want to skip. And most importantly, the ways to gain access to those lounges so your next airport experience is far more comfortable than it currently is. And the best part, the option might be hiding in your wallet right now. So let's begin with the fundamentals of airport lounges. Broadly speaking, there are three main categories of airport lounges that we'll explore today. Firstly, there are lounge networks such as Priority Pass, which is probably the most popular, but there are also others available like Dragon Pass. Secondly, there are credit card lounges like the ones offered by American Express in Australia. And then there are airline specific lounges like Qantas and Virgin Australia. However, around the globe, you'll find a plethora of other airline branded lounges, many of which rank amongst the most luxurious worldwide. And oftentimes people deliberately have longer layovers just so they can experience those lounges to the fullest. So let's first explore lounge networks, starting with Priority Pass. Now, Priority Pass is an airport lounge membership program offering travelers access to more than 1,500 independent and airline affiliated lounges around the world. You'll find lounges in even the smallest of airports at places you'd never expect. However, that said, the quality can be a bit hit or miss because Priority Pass is so popular and is oftentimes included as a benefit in many credit cards, not only within Australia, but also globally as well. So overcrowding is a common issue experienced. Nevertheless, you can still expect a quieter environment than the airport terminal with a dedicated Wi-Fi network, comfortable seating with charging ports, and complimentary snacks, drinks, and even sometimes hot food. As always though, the standard of these amenities will depend heavily on the location that you're at. There is a Priority Pass app where you can search for what available lounges there are before you get to the airport, as well as look at reviews that previous users have left to determine which one is best for you. Memberships can be purchased, but do also come included with certain high-end credit cards, such as the American Express Platinum Card. There are different membership options available to purchase, with the most expensive option at $469 per year, which includes unlimited yearly visits for you, whilst guests cost $35. Whilst the cheapest one is merely access to the Priority Pass network, and you'll still have to pay $35 a pop per person each time you want to enter. So unlimited access is definitely the way to go if you plan to travel frequently internationally. Now in Australia, the American Express Platinum Card is the only credit card remaining that offers unlimited access. The Citi Prestige card used to offer unlimited access, but as of the 1st of August this year, unlimited lounge visits for you and one guest changed to just 15 complimentary visits every 12 months. Which, whilst this is definitely less than ideal, it should still be sufficient for most people, as it's nearly the equivalent of having 4 trips there and back with Lounge Pass for you and your partner. There are other credit cards in Australia that offer 2 single-use passes each year, which include the Amplify Signature Visa from St. George, the Westpac Altitude Black, and the Citi Premier MasterCard. Honestly, it's probably not worth paying for a Priority Pass membership unless you often travel internationally, but if you have it included with a credit card, it's good to know where you can use it domestically and also overseas. Now, when you're traveling internationally, staying connected is essential, and that's where the sponsor of today's video, Air Arlo, can help. Air Arlo offers eSIMs that keeps you connected in almost any country around the world. So what's an eSIM, you might ask? It's basically a digital SIM card that you can install directly on your phone. No more fidgeting around with a physical SIM card or lining up at the airports. All you have to do is download the Airline app, search for the country you're visiting, and choose a data package that suits your needs. Plans start from just a few dollars, and you can even install it before you fly, then simply activate it when you land, and boom, you're instantly connected. If you're visiting multiple countries in one trip, Airline offers regional eSIMs like for Asia or Europe, and even global eSIMs that will keep you connected around the globe. I've personally used Airline several times in Japan and other parts of the world, and it's honestly been one of the easiest ways to stay connected whilst traveling. And if you want to try it out for yourself, use my code RaymondLa3 to get $3 off your first eSIM. There's a link down below in the description, so go check it out before your next trip. The other option when it comes to lounge networks is Dragon Pass, which is the other major player within the lounge membership space, competing fiercely with Priority Pass. These days, Dragon Pass focuses on annual lounge memberships, which are almost identical to Priority Pass. However, Dragon Pass still offers the ability to buy single passes for certain lounges without needing to be a member. When we move on to credit card lounges in Australia, our options are unfortunately pretty limited, with American Express pretty much being the only lounge available. American Express owns a network of branded lounges around the world. These are known as the Centurion lounges or the International American Express lounges. Centurion lounges are generally a step up in terms of services and amenity, though you'll mainly find the flagship locations in the United States. There are other Centurion locations including Hong Kong, London, and also in Sydney and Melbourne. I've personally been to the AMEX Centurion Lounge in Melbourne, and honestly, it's pretty underwhelming. There was next to no natural light or windows in the lounge. It was pretty small and the food options were limited. If you have no other options in Melbourne, then it's better than nothing, I guess, but you aren't really missing out on much regardless. These lounges are a dedicated space for card members only to enjoy access before any flight they may have, so it doesn't matter whether you're flying economy on a budget airline or in business class on a tier 1. As long as you have an eligible AMEX card, you can get in. To gain unlimited access to all of the AMEX Centurion lounges globally, you will either have to hold the AMEX Platinum card or Business Platinum card. Whilst a few of the other lower tier American Express cards, such as the Explorer, Qantas Ultimate, and Velocity Platinum cards also offer complimentary visits to the Australian AMEX lounge only when traveling internationally. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my free weekly newsletter where I share tips around credit cards, travel, and personal finance to help you live a wealthier and healthier life. Now, finally, we move on to airline lounges. And in Australia, the two big airline specific networks we have are obviously Qantas and Virgin Australia. With Qantas, we can break its lounges into three categories. They have its Qantas Business Lounge, and these are available to passengers flying in business class or those with a high frequent flyer status with Qantas starting from Gold or One World status as well. They also have an International First Class Lounge, and these are reserved for passengers flying in first class or Qantas Platinum 1 or Platinum members. And then we have Qantas Club Lounges, and these are their domestic lounges and are generally geared towards business travelers who are constantly traveling with Qantas. Lounge access becomes available when you hit Gold status, which isn't too hard to reach if you travel frequently for work. Now, when it comes to Virgin Australia, they actually only operate domestic lounges themselves. They don't operate their own international lounges since they don't actually operate internationally themselves, but rather they rely on its network of partner airlines like Singapore Airlines and Qatar. Velocity Gold and Platinum members and those flying in business class on partner airlines can access lounges operated by those airlines. Now, for the domestic lounges for both Qantas and Virgin Australia, you can actually purchase single entry passes that get you into the lounge before your flight with that airline. But they are often subject to availability and access isn't always granted. So you may find that you aren't actually able to redeem a single entry pass during peak travel periods like school holidays or when the lounge is projected to be relatively busy. Virgin Australia costs you $65 per adult and $45 for kids, whilst Qantas doesn't actually publish a fixed list of prices for its single entry passes, as the cost will fluctuate based on demand and location. But in my opinion, it's really not worth paying that much just to access the Qantas and Virgin domestic lounge, as they aren't super fancy and are oftentimes quite crowded and busy. Now, there are plenty of ways that you can gain complimentary lounge invitations. There are at least a dozen different Australian credit cards that offer complimentary Qantas or Virgin Australia lounge access. A Qantas Points Club membership also grants you with 2 complimentary lounge passes per year, which is essentially a membership program that Qantas offers when you earn at least 150,000 Qantas points in a year. And if you manage to reach silver status with either airline, you also receive complimentary passes as well. Now, I've visited a few of the domestic lounges with Qantas and Virgin when I've traveled domestically in the past, and overall they're a nice place to sit down and relax, as there's usually plenty of seating options, especially when compared to the terminal. Snacks and drinks are also readily available, and depending on the time of the day, sometimes there will even be a barista taking orders for fresh coffee. Now, of course, there are plenty of other airline lounges that you can visit, and this is when the quality and luxury can really get taken up a notch. Many of the major airlines will follow a model where they have a dedicated lounge for business class and first class passengers, and then a separate lounge dedicated for travelers who have been able to accumulate a high frequent flyer status. I've had the privilege of visiting the Qatar Airways dedicated business class lounge in Doha when I was flying with Qatar Airways just this year, and I think that might have been the nicest lounge that I've ever visited. And I've even heard of people purposely booking flights with an extra long layover just to experience the different menu options they have during lunch and dinner. Now, if you're wanting to experience these lounges for yourself, you'll either need to be flying in business class with that specific airline or obtain a high enough frequent flyer status, which, unless you're flying internationally for work quite often, it will be quite difficult. Now, with Qantas, because it is a part of the One World Alliance, if you're a gold frequent flyer status with Qantas, oftentimes you'll be able to enter into airline lounges of other One World members if you're flying with them. Otherwise, in Australia, you can also sign up for the HSBC Star Alliance credit card, which grants you gold frequent flyer status with several Star Alliance airlines like Singapore Airlines and Air Canada. That's how I've been able to access Singapore's Gold Lounge when flying with Singapore Airlines in economy. So now that you know more about lounges and how you can get in, let's cover some common mistakes you want to avoid that can cost you time, access, and money during your travels. So firstly, if you do end up getting a credit card that gives you Priority Pass access, make sure that you don't forget to enroll with Priority Pass. You need to go through your credit card to either sign up for an account or link your account before you're able to use it. You can't go in with just your credit card alone. You'll receive a Priority Pass card in the mail that you can use, or you can use their mobile app. Also, know the timing rules as well, as some lounges do restrict how early you can get in. For example, with Qantas domestic lounges, you can typically enter those lounges on the same day as your flight, starting from when check-in opens until your flight begins boarding, so roughly 3 hours before your departure time. Also, don't forget that you can use some lounges on arrival as well. This is often overlooked, but it's a great way to experience some nice lounges, unwind after a long flight, and shower to freshen up before you head out on your holiday. This comes in especially handy if you've just flown a red-eye flight and you arrive at your destination in the morning. So that's everything that you hopefully need to know about airport lounges. If you have found anything useful in this video, then hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel because that's how you can support me best. And if you want to learn how you can find and book a business class flight with Singapore Airlines with your credit card points, then you might want to check out this video right here. Hopefully I'll see you in that video, if not a future video. And as always, thanks for watching, guys.